And today, what we're going to actually explore is two things and how they fit together, but we'll call it reality bending. One of our pioneering members in the Lumina Guild wrote a beautiful essay, Jeff Carrera, and he called something that both Hua and I both do, but he calls it reality bending, and I really like that phrase. It makes it sound more fun and interesting. But really, we're going to be looking at what are these micro steps that you can take in each moment that are very doable. They're actionable, they're doable, and they are, and these actions are the things that lead to the manifestations that you desire. And the connection of that with timing and rhythm, because they definitely interface. And why don't I go ahead and I'll read the facet of rhythm now, huh? Oops, I left my glasses over here. So each month in the Lumina Guild, we have one facet that we're in contemplation with, and it helps to shape the content that comes out in the Lumina Guild every month. And the facet this month is the facet of rhythm. All right. Value moves in cycles, not lines. True economy flows with the rhythms of nature, emergence, and embodied timing. I want to read that again. Value moves in cycles, not lines. The true economy flows with the rhythms of nature, emergence, and embodied timing. What thread do you want to pull on first to speak about, Hua?
What is embodied timing, right? How do we move within embodied timing?
Mm,
Mm. I think that is an opportunity for everyone to really feel in the body.
mm,
What is the rhythm of currency, of wealth, and how to embody it in the
mm,
body and also in the dimension of time.
mm. Yes, so how this might translate, just giving an example. I've been facilitating groups for some years now of creators coming together to create some kind of product for their business, whether it's a coaching service or a digital product or a retreat. And uh, inevitably in these kinds of containers, we say, okay, people join in to them wanting to create something in a certain amount of time. And certainly, we can operate that way, and it's really important actually to operate that way in certain instances with certain agreements in play in work situations, for example, if you have a deliverable. And when it comes to creating, we could say maybe creating at the level of the heart or the soul. So what you're offering up is also an expression of you, who you are and how you are in the world. And what I find, even, you and I remember when we were working together and you were creating, you were thinking of that?
I was the exact same thing. How cool.
Yeah, you were creating this beautiful offering for people to help them explore if they wanted to transition out of corporate, how to do that smoothly, uh, or maybe they might find something else out after on that journey that they don't want to transition out of corporate. But you had your own experiences during that time, right? Of
Mhm.
some things going faster than you thought, some things going slower than you thought, and then launching it, not getting the feedback that you wanted, and then needing to take the time, actually.
Mm.
You needed to take the time to go through a journey within your own self before you were ready. And that journey within your own self, that was a refinement process
Mm.
that prepared you for the next stage of this unfolding. So to me, it's like embodied timing is there's a couple of ways to talk about it. One of them is by saying that you actually acknowledge that your timing is your timing and that it doesn't mean there's something wrong with you or that you're broken or that you're a failure or that you've messed up. That's number one. And number two, embodied timing is it's also immediate. So I'm either present here now having this conversation with you, or I'm thinking about the next thing that I'm gonna say, or I'm thinking about what you all think about what I'm saying. There's all these things that can sort of take me out of time. Embodied timing in the moment to moment sense is the capacity to be present, being present, and sort of having your finger on the pulse of what's unfolding. So it's kind of like surfing, you and I right now, right here, we're riding a wave together. We wouldn't be able to actually have a good time riding that wave if we weren't able to have embodied timing, being present, feeling for what wants to emerge, jumping in, speaking, stopping. You know what I'm saying?
What came up for me is like the relation between the external and the internal.
Mm,
I remember, to give everyone a bit of context on the timing of this unfolding, I
mm,
worked with Tiffany. This was probably 2021, 2022.
mhm,
So a long time ago, a
mhm,
long time ago. And in that moment, the way I was creating and my pattern or my default pattern of um of being was very externally focused, very result
mm,
driven. And that is a learned behavior from the way I was brought up, the way I operated in the corporate world. Everything was very externally focused.
mhm,
And at that time, like internally, not everything was not aligned. I could not tune in to
mm,
what is meant to create with ease, what is meant to create with, I didn't know what it was meant to create from a place of authenticity.
mm.
And I didn't need, to be honest, like deep listening, which is something that was alien for me. Like, listen to who? Listen to myself? What? That was completely alien. And the orientation of like over the 4 years was not the reorientation of the external, but it was an internal
Mm,
state of how to come back to that place of being connected to
mm,
myself,
mm,
connected to the energy around me, and also the learning, the awareness, the learning to become awareness of when something feels off,
mhm.
and how to return to that place of ease, of calm and peace, and then taking actions from that place.
Yes, yes, well said, well said. Exactly, that's the work. And oh gosh, there's like three things I want to say to that. One is, oh, it's so good. So tying this into the reality bending, let's go there because uh, what you just described about being able to the capacity to be able to listen, to tune in to your inner landscape, to then take the actions that shift you, that reality shift you, and then take action. Okay, that process is probably one of the most important skill sets of our time to learn. And that's what we're doing right now in the Emergent Path Apprenticeship. The most important skill set of our time to master and practice. And and it does take work, like you and I were talking about before we got on. So we'll speak a little bit about that. But when you realize that the work is this, that the work is what you just described, then you can sort of roll your sleeves up and get busy with something that actually it gives you immediate feedback that you can trust, and then you can tweak, and then you can get feedback, and you can tweak, and you can get feedback. But you're starting with the internal, seeing what's reflected in the external and tweaking like so. So slowing down to speak specifically about reality bending, what we're talking about is I'm going to share the way that I tend to do it, and how about you share yours? Because I think people do it in different ways, but it's really the same core practice. So for me, I as a little bit of context, I have been so used to speeding up in relationship to work. So it's like, okay, when there's work that needs to be done, pedal to the metal, let's go. people, come on. And, over time, it's like I've just slowed way down because I wanted to and also because I needed to. But I didn't actually yet know how to slow myself down. So I was slowing down, but then revving up. I remember this line coming to me once when I was coming out of a meditation: you're speeding up to slow down. And I thought, oh God, it's so true. So for me, my little cues are I get fidgety. I feel a little just usually a little bit distracted, but then I force myself to focus, and then I start feeling a little bit of pressure. My jaw is usually tight. I generally will start clenching my hips, and, uh, it's like I'm in this battle with time, and I don't even know it. It's like I'm racing
It's so
against a
ironic.
clock.
It is so
It's
ironic, right?
so ironic, and the more I do that, because at this point, like, I've m it my personal preference has become so carved out that I want a slow, easeful way of living and being with creative spurts. I have creative spurts and a lot happens in those creative spurts, but even that's not rushed anymore, or that's not my preference. So to reality bend, when I find that I'm in it, I have to one, notice that I'm off. And those are body cues. And it took me a long time to even recognize that was the case. It took me a long time to have the desire to want to know, and then it took me a long time to actually be able to pay attention and notice in the moment. Because it used to be that I would go all the way until I had a kind of a negative consequence that was unmistakable, and then I'd look back and go, "Oh yeah, I was speeding up. Oh yeah, I was pushing. Oh yeah, I wasn't trusting. Oh yeah, I was in fear." When so desire to do it differently, awareness to practice in the moment, which also takes focus. And then in the moment that I notice, the way that I do it now is I just do the counter move. So this is one way I'll reality bend. If I'm wanting to speed up, the counter move, I slow down. I slow down my breathing. I stop what I'm doing. I put on an oil. I maybe take a little walk first, but just do a counter move. And another way that I'll reality bend is usually if I'm speeding up, it's because there's some kind of fear underneath. And so if I can slow down enough to just identify what is it that I'm afraid of, and it's not like I have to unpack my whole history or something and see how it relates to my mother, but just in the moment going, oh, I'm actually afraid I'm going to let people down and they're going to be disappointed in me. Okay. So then I can pause and do a virtual reality. You were just describing your version of this to me before we got on, but just to stop and imagine the alternate experience in which I feel really good. So I can just practice if it's about getting something done and delivering it to somebody. I imagine myself doing it, feeling really connected as I do it, it happening way more easy than I thought, and then being able to deliver to the person on the time or even earlier on the time. So I can just imagine and visualize that whole thing. And then I've actually done the work to shift how I've identified what's going on, and then I've done the work to shift how I feel, and then I take the action. Describe yours.
Before I do that, I just want to really highlight like the irony of slowing down and speeding up.
Mm,
Um, if whoever's listening, if this concept is quite alien to you, imagine it as this. So the slower you feel, the slower your awareness is, the
mm,
higher your vibration is.
mm,
Because when you think about it, if your breathing is fast, if you're fidgety, it's probably motivated by fear. And the
mhm,
vibration of fear is a lot lower than the vibration of peace, of love, of gratitude. So as you slow down your heartbeat, slow down your movement, slow down the way your eyes are movement scanning the room. And the more you slow down, you are actually increasing your frequency. You are increasing your vibration.
mm,
And for me, it's like it totally a counterintuitive concept.
mm, mm.
And for me, I think some people may choose to slow down, and they think that process is done. So
Is
hours
dumb
and
or done?
no, it's done. It's done. So
Yeah.
hours and hours of meditation, just going into that slowness. But actually, it for me is the rhythm between that slowness of being and
Mhm.
taking inspired action.
Mhm.
And inspired action for me, I think, is actions that's in line with the spirit.
Mhm.
So slowing down in order to get into what the spirit feels like, getting into that higher frequency and
Mhm.
taking the action from that place. So the way that I do it is that, and I don't think about like something massive, something huge. I do this on a daily basis, action by action, and that's how I make every action super intentional each day.
Mhm.
And the way I do it is before I take an action, whether it is to write an email, whether it is making an Instagram post, or even making a trade on the stock market. I would really slow down and I imagined myself, I visualized myself doing the action, and I also visualize desired outcome. How do I want to feel? I want to feel abundant. I want to feel joyful. I want to feel grateful. And I also imagine the result manifesting of the stock I purchased going up, the Instagram post resonate with the people who are looking at it. So I imagine all that, and then I ground all that feeling back into my body, and I return to the moment of now. I return to this 3D reality, and I take that exact action.
Mhm.
So for me, that is how I follow the rhythm of silence and action,
Mhm.
of slowing down and taking the action.
Mhm.
Um, so that's how I do it. It's very similar. I think different people have their different version of reality shifting, but
Mhm.
it happens in parallel, realigning your inner state of being and
Mhm.
taking the action in the outer reality. And
Mhm.
how can those be both be aligned in a space of the frequency that you want to feel?
Another way of saying it is that you're slowing down enough to see what's actually happening, and then you're consciously choosing how you want to feel. Because, of course, we can't control other people, and we can't always control. I mean, we can't. I think that we can have influence over outcomes, but there's certainly things that we can't control in our outer environment more than what we can control. But when we're controlling how we feel on the inside, that is actually bending reality on the outside. That's why this works to create better and better, life experiences, actually. That's how I'd say that simply. When we talk about consciously crafting our reality, this is what it is. Mm, very good. That feels really full. I don't
Mm.
feel like uh, it feels nice to kind of end on this with some
Yeah,
summaries, huh?
it's bringing me a lot of delight actually. Like
Mm,
I'm thinking, it's like after this, what would I do? Like, how would I feel? I would, whatever I
mhm,
do, I will feel amazing because I will
mhm,
realign in this way.
mhm.
So this conversation has given me a lot of like sweetness and delight.
Mm. Oh, me too. I I do want to mention something here, which for listeners, which is that if you're gripped by fear and or really off and kind of a wobble as you're listening to this kind of thing, whether it's to us or someone else speaking about these kinds of things, it probably just sounds annoying because when you're really off and somebody's telling you, "Oh, just do this reality bending and change how you feel," it just is really annoying. I have had plenty of experiences like that myself when I've been in that position and somebody's speaking to me that way. So, uh, yeah, you are where you are, and of course, if there's prolonged states of being gripped in survival fear, survival energy, then there is some unwinding that needs to happen. There's some settling that needs to happen. There is something that needs to shift for you to even feel like you can receive this and then practice it with genuine delight. But as you do, it's it's such a satisfying experience because it's where our real power is. This is where our real creative power in relationship to life is. And once you get going with practicing it and seeing the immediate results, it just gets more exciting to practice it more and to practice it more and to practice it more. And to find your own rhythm with it and to begin to trust that rhythm. Very good.
I
Well,
usually go take a cold shower, or go sit by the sea, or go sit in the forest, or anything to shift that.
the gripped.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the oils for it. Black spruce is my fave for that one. One more thing too connected to that is that I think a lot of really powerful creators also have a large capacity often to tolerate. And I know that I have had in my life such a large capacity to tolerate discomfort and anxiety and the pressures of working really hard. Like I could tolerate so much more of that than most of the people that I knew. And on some level, within a, within certain level of conditioning, that also felt like a badge of honor almost. Like, yeah, that's part of my strong work ethic. Um, so another part of this is that we're becoming more sensitive to how we feel moment by moment, and as you become more sensitive to how you feel moment by moment, you won't sort of push yourself as far where you're, way over here and need to do some real substantial tending. You kind of just go this far out and come back, this far out and come back, and this far, and then just this far out and come back, just this far out, and then it's just a rare occasion that you get over here. Yeah. Well, we
And
are. Oh, do
I
you want to
just
add anything to
want
that
to
before?
add something. If there's any discomfort in your being, whether that is a sense of anticipation, there's a sense of anxiety or fear. We all have that. I have that. I feel that. And just even just a little bit, a sense of discomfort in your being. If that is there, then there is also a desire
Mm,
to operate in a different way.
mm,
There is also a desire to create a different state of being, to create internally, externally. Maybe you're a real creator. So maybe you want to create a way to create differently.
yes, well
And
said.
I want to bring it back to what we're doing in Illumina Guild,
Mm,
which is the Emergent Path Apprentice. And this is what it's all about, is creating differently, operating differently, so that you are you deeply listen, you realign your internal state of being before taking that outer actions of creation. So whether you are creating a new way of life, whether you are creating a new business, whether you're creating a work of art, it will feel different.
mhm,
So if you're interested, click in the link in the bio
mhm,
to join the Lumina Guild, and the Emergent Path Apprenticeship start on Saturday. So join us for
mhm.
that.
Well said. That was the only thing I was going to add at the end. That's beautiful. All right. Thanks to all who listen. From our heart to yours. We'll see you next time.
I'll see you on Saturday
Yes, or see
on
you
the Lumina
Saturday.
Guild.